Hello, hello, and hello. You're tuning into another episode of the Wunderkind Show. Hey, yo, today's topic, Philly versus Washington. Hey, look, I don't know how many times I got to say it on this platform that I've created. Wide receivers, wait for it, matter. It's so crazy. Call it whatever you want to call it, right? A.J. Brown gets hampered in this game, right? He's not the same A.J. Brown. He's not 100%. You can see it. He's trying to gut it out for his teammates, but he's not the same A.J. Brown. He's not the threat he usually is. And their offense doesn't, as good as it, efficient sometimes as it was, it just, the team didn't perform the same. I wonder why. Listen, it's so crazy how we get always back to this point. I didn't believe Philly was going to go undefeated. Come on now. This is the NFL. This is the National Football League. You were not going to go undefeated. So we knew you were going to get a loss one way or the other. And probably most teams take a loss in the division. Divisional games, anything can happen. You guys have heard me say this before. When you have games within your division, anything can happen. And we saw it last night. Washington played very well, forcing, 4 turnovers, 7 penalties. That's that'll do it. And Heineke, as much as his team got the win, he wasn't extraordinarily great. I'll tell you who was extraordinarily great: Terry McLaurin. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this very loud and proficient. When you are naming the best wide receivers in the league, Scary Terry better be on that list. He's a monster. My God. I just thought about something. I'm like, yo, even Heineke got better weapons than Lamar. Yeah, man, that man is a dog. A dog. And if that offense becomes Scary Terry, he's the go for it, like how they did in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson or with Tyreek Hill and players like that, they can do some stuff on offense. Make it Terry McLaurin centric. To centric. Tentric. I'm dead serious. That boy is a bad man, and he got paid because of it. Because everybody knows. You know who he reminds me of? Even though later on in his career, his team started somewhat, making the playoffs, winning the division and stuff. Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson was my favorite wide receiver growing up. That was my favorite receiver when I was younger. I thought he was the best receiver in the league, bar none. I don't care if you had Calvin there. He just had it all. He had the size, he had the speed, he had the strength. There was no weakness to his game. None. And in the run game, he was an absolute monster. He'd take out 2 players in the run game. Andre Johnson, to me, is one of the most underrated receivers I've ever witnessed watching football. And Terry McLaurin's getting up there for me. You darn right he is. And hopefully, they give him the ball, at least to let him, give the team a chance. Let him go off. You know what I'm saying? But Philly, listen, I told people this before. All these teams have weaknesses. Philly can't stop the run, right? All these teams have deficiencies. There's no perfect team right now in the NFL. They all have some type of weakness, right? They all can be exploited by those weaknesses. We've seen it week in, week out. And it finally was Philadelphia's turn. But shout out to Washington. They did their job. But where I'm going with this topic today is pretty much, leaning into the wide receiver debate. I'm going to be real with you. This is the first year that I can ever remember, historically speaking, that in my top 5 MVP candidates, 3 of them are wide receivers. I don't think there is a quarterback playing better than some of these wide receivers are right now. I don't care. Oh, the quarterback has to throw him the ball. Listen, that's so overrated because we've seen these guys catch 5-yard slants and take it to the house. A little 2-yard pass to the right turns into a 50, 60-yard gain. Or they hit their head on the goalpost. I mean, let's be real. The Bengals have made an absolute last year's season of it with Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had that, I think last year was like 78 receptions for like almost 1,500 yards. That's insane. Hey, yo, that's insane. Imagine you only catching the ball. 79 catches in a season should not remark in that much yards. He almost had 1,500 yards on like 79 catches. Most receivers say, yo, I need like 100 catches to get these numbers. Certain guys, man. Certain guys. And yesterday, there was 2 of them on the field, even though one got banged up and could not be himself. A.J. Brown is a monster. He's a mini DK Metcalf. That's exactly what he is. He is a one-on-one, there's no stopping him. He's so strong, lower body and upper body, that you just bounce off of him. And Terry is like him. They're pretty much the same player. I think that AJ is better a little more after the catch, while I feel like Terry's more better route runner. But this year it's wide receivers, man. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill should be number 1 and 2 on everybody's list for MVPs this season. And it shouldn't even be. Everyone's like, oh no, Patrick Mahomes. No. We just seen Tyreek Hill change an entire organization single-handedly. Like, he's about to be on pace for 2,000 yards. Miami might be second or third in the AFC at the end of things. Tyreek is one of one. And Justin Jefferson is balling out of his mind. Those two should be in the MVP conversation because Kirk Cousins is not in the MVP conversation. He's not. But Justin Jefferson deserves to be in it. 1 and 2 to me are Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson. Third, Patrick Mahomes. I'm dead serious with you. I know a lot of people are going to be like, no. They can't be that way. It is that way. Look, I know. Quarterbacks get a lot of love. They get a lot of, you know what I'm saying? When they win, they get a lot of the adulation. You know what I'm saying? But right now, because of the way the league has changed, wide receivers' impacts are even more profound. Like, think about this real quick. In the days of Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, those monster receivers, how many of those guys were in the league at the time? 3, 4, maybe 5. Because you had Randy, Jerry Rice was still playing. You had T.O., right? Who else you had at that time that was like on that level? Yeah, it was like those 3, right? I mean, you still had some great guys like Torrey Holt and Bruce, I think Bruce Irvin and the guys over there in Broncos country, and even the receiver for the Buffalo Bills. But they weren't those guys. This new crop of wide receivers, there's a plethora of them. Think about this real quick. Justin Jefferson, that's 1. Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying in who's better, because Tyreek's number 1 on my list. But I'm saying Justin Jefferson's one of those receivers. Okay. Tyreek Hill's one of those receivers. Okay. Jamar Chase is one of those receivers. Okay. DK Metcalf is one of those receivers. Okay. Terry McLaurin's one of those receivers. Okay. AJ Brown is one of those receivers. Okay. Bro, like the list goes. And that's crazy to me. Oh, Stephon Diggs. Y'all never forget Diggs that low down. Bruh, like there's like a legit, Devontae Adams. Bruh, there's a legit like 10 receivers in the league right now that there's nothing you can do to stop them. There's nothing. And amongst being unstoppable, there's other ones like Tyreek Hill that literally being unstoppable one-on-one, they're unstoppable even if you put two on them. Your whole game plan has to shift into stopping them individually. Remember, Tyreek Hill almost had 200 yards in a quarter. I want to remind people that he had almost he had like 190 yards in a quarter. And he could have ended that game with 300-400 yards. They just decided, we're going to use it as a decoy from now on. Hey! Hey! Yo. The centricness of the passing game makes them that much more important. It's frustrating being a Raven fan because, like, the Ravens, even though you want to zig while everyone else zag, it's like they don't recognize or understand that. These receivers are like the running backs of old now. Running backs back in the 90s and 80s, if you had a good running back, you had a chance because it was centralized around the run game. Think about some of the running backs back then. Jesus. I mean, God. Emmett. You had Barry. What's his name on the Bears? Like, you had so many running backs during the 90s and 80s that right now all of them are like Hall of Famers. And some of them even like aren't, but they're going to be Hall of Famers. If you go back and look at 80s and 90s running backs, it's ridiculous. That's the wide receiver now. Because even though it's becoming more profound to throw the ball, you need those targets that can make plays when those quarterbacks are not as accurate. When they can't set their feet because of the way the defense is going and trying to get them down, or the bad play calling. They just put it in a place where hopefully you could just try to go make a play on it. You're hearing that more now often than ever before. Oh, let's go see if the wide receivers can make a play on the ball. Let's go see if they can make a play. Give them a chance. Highlight plays that might happen 2 times for the entire season for a player are now happening once or twice in one game. And you wonder why? This is what I've been trying to tell people, man. This is what I took. When I watched last night's game, I'm looking on just the profound effect of wide receivers. Listen, I'm not saying you even need the best wide receiver, but having a wide receiver that can beat man-to-man on a drop of a hat, it makes your offense that much more deadly. Because the defense has to shift coverage. It has to. It's a numbers game. If I can't guard you one-on-one, that means I'm going to need to put someone else there to bracket you or to cover you. So then you can play one under, one over to keep you bracketed. So when you're running this way, one's right here to intercept the pass, the other one's over the top in case you try to take it deep. And these guys, the 10 guys I just named, or 8 or 9 guys I just named, they're making plays being doubled. They're making plays triple covered. And if I missed one of the receivers, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of them now. Oh, DeAndre Hopkins. What am I talking about? Yeah, you see what I'm trying to say? Hey, there's more. And these young QBs have been given them. It's so frustrating watching, Lamar play sometimes because you see the profound effect of a Stephon Diggs on Josh Allen. Josh Allen was nowhere near an MVP caliber level player before Stephon Diggs. And then as soon as he gets him, he's an MVP level player. We've seen the profound effect of Tyreek Hill on Pat Mahomes, especially in the Super Bowl when Pat Mahomes was like messing up with everything else like that, right? We've seen the profound effect of Tyreek Hill on Tua, the profound effect of A.J. Brown on Hurts. Like, all of these things are relevant. Wide receivers matter. They matter because of the rule changes in the NFL. That's not conjecture. That's fact. When you look at where the league is coming and going, right? Present, past, future, this is it. Some people say it's arena football. I don't know. But what I do know is that it makes the wide receiver position that much more dynamic and important. Because before, let's be real, before, a lot of teams could get away with not having the best wide receiver. We've seen the Patriots do it. We've seen the Ravens do it. We've seen, earlier Steeler years, we've seen them do it. Like, it is what it is. We've seen teams do it and win championships. It's not as much like that anymore. Because now defenses are getting faster because of the amount of wide receiver usage and the amount of pass plays, right? And they're combating it by evolving, taking away the middle line, the backer position usually, and putting more safeties in there. That's just the way it goes. People evolve, they change. Defensive coordinators are paid money also to learn and how to come up with plans to stop these great players. That's how the game is going. Watching yesterday, bro, and I'm sitting there looking at Philly, it's like the evolved version of what we hoped the Ravens would have been. It looks like the 2019 Ravens, but with great receivers. That's exactly what it looks like. Hey! That's exactly what it looks like. I saw someone say that too. It looks like the 2019 Ravens with better receivers. And it's deadly. Because when you can run the ball that efficiently, they have to play the middle. Because you know what running the ball does? It runs the clock. If you miss a pass, it stops the clock. The game will become elongated. When you run that ball, 2 yards, eating clock. 5 yards, eating clock. So you've seen it, like the Ravens be on a 9-8 minute drive. That's almost an entire quarter of football. Like, you get where I'm coming from? That's what running the ball can do. That's what the Philadelphia Eagles are. The 2019 Ravens with better receivers. It's so frustrating to see because it's like, I like Jalen Hurts. I think that he's a great quarterback. I just don't think he's on Lamar's level. We know he's not on Lamar's level. Matter of fact, we know he's not. But he was given weapons. And the funny thing is, everybody doubted his ability to be a quarterback in this league. Especially after the debacle that was the playoff game last year. Even though he got his team to the playoffs. He missed so many passes in that game. And you know what they did? They said, we're going to give you a dynamic wide receiver on top of the wide receiver that we drafted. And boom, shakalaka. Look. Wins. Wins. And we got to get to a point now to where we understand that that's what's going to take to win in this league. Now, am I saying the Ravens cannot win? No, I'm not saying that. Because they do have dynamic tight ends. And we've seen teams win with tight ends. It just makes it that much more difficult. It makes it that much more difficult. It does. There's no arguing it. When the way how we play and the way that teams are guarding us, if we had somebody eating on the outside, our team would be unstoppable. Because as you saw with Bateman, a lot of the Bateman catches were long catches. Because if you beat the person in front of you, you're gone. You saw the long, what was it, a 70-yard run, 60-yard run by Bateman early in the season? Because there's nothing you can do because you're so worried about that run game. And Lamar has beaten teams with his legs only. Think about that real quick. There's been games where Lamar Jackson, just with his leg, has beat them. He's beat teams with just his arm. Imagine now you got a guy that can't be guarded one-on-one on a team with a player like that. This is what I mean by investing in your young QB. Do I say it means you're going to win every game? No. It just gives them the best chance of winning those games. That's it. There's no ulterior motive. This is common sense at this point. Common sense. Look, I liked the game last night. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good game. Washington played their butts off and came out with a win. Congratulations to them. You ended the perfection streak that the Philadelphia Eagles were on. Congrats. And it's a divisional foe too, so you know it stings a little more than usual. And I agree with that. But it just makes me wonder what the Ravens could have been offensively if the team gave them everything that they needed. Not so much wanted, but needed. Shout out to Philadelphia, man. Their GM is a monster. A monster. Think about how he had who he thought. This GM won with a backup QB. The QB who he thought was going to be his future, he got from under that QB and got another QB that was able to pick up the mantle and run. And he looked at the deficiencies of his QB, as good as he is and as young as he is, said, I'm going to get you something else. I'm going to get you another weapon. And somehow, after doing all of that, because most people think when you lose a quarterback, well, not even think, that's how it is. When you lose your starting QB, it takes years to make up for it. They made up for it in a season. Hey, one season, that's all it took. And looked at the young QB and said, we're going to give you some talent on the outside too. Crazy. To me, he's the GM of the year. I don't care what anybody else tells me. He's the GM of the year. Absolutely mad. And they still got picks. They got multiple first-round picks. If that's not, bro, he's put himself in a 4 to 5 year Super Bowl window. They got A.J. Brown tied up. They got Jalen Hurts, you know they're going to sign. They got a good O-line, good running backs, good defense, and a whole bunch of picks, high-level picks. Yeah, they're going to be good for years. That's what he did. That's a GM right there. Salute to Philadelphia. Sorry about your loss. This is any given Sunday. Anything can happen. And salute to the Washington Commanders for taking that, for ending it. I know it's sweet for them because it's like, yo, we know we're not making the playoffs, but we could play, we could spoil some people's birthdays along the way. And I fully agree with it. That's what makes football exciting. That's what we look for happening. And guess what? Now there's no undefeated teams. So the Vikings and the Eagles are tied for first in the NFC. Yo, who would have picked that? For all the analysts saying, yeah, we saw this happen. You're lying. Lying. But look, that's another episode of the Wunderkind Show. You guys can be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and you know I appreciate that. Please remember, like, subscribe, retweet when it's there, hit that notification bell, and as always, I'm out of here. So thank you for showing up. Yeah, I got to go. So that means you guys have to go too. I'm looking forward to see how we come out of this bye week. Boy, my skin is, whoo! I'm dead serious with you. Like, when I think about this bye week, coming off of this bye week, how they're going to use likely, moving forward, I think they're going to say, we're going to put these players, give them more touches, give Dude more touches. It makes me just be like, what you going to do about it? It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. But all right, that's the end of the Wunderkind Show, and I'm out of here. So y'all have a great day, and y'all know Nitro's slogan. Peace. And I am out. Yerp!